French built bodybuilding, and I'm going to tell you how. Bodybuilding is a relatively young sport, as the first ever contest was only 120 years ago. His father, Eugene Sandow, became his official worldwide pioneer in 1901 after creating and organizing said first show, a great competition held in London with 50 participants, organized by a Prussian man. And yet, the real builder of it all is France. In this video, I will share with you how many great men created it, built and paved the way for us to now be able to have an easy access to strength sport and bodybuilding, whenever if it is in the media, books, content, and most importantly, in many organizations, from local up to international level. For that, we need to come back to the roots of it all. Let's start with one of the most prominent historical French figures, Charlemagne, or Charles le Grand, who ruled the Franks from 1768 to 1814, was not known for practicing bodybuilding as we know it today. However, there are various aspects of his life when his area that highlight the importance of physical strength and sporting activities, especially among nobles and soldiers. The first thing to know about Charlemagne is his almost non-stop campaign and military enforcement. Physical strength and endurance were crucial for him and his knights. Military training, including horseback riding, weapon handling, combat training, and all of them contribute to physical condition. Hunting was a popular activity among the nobility, and Charlemagne was himself known to be an avid and very proficient hunter, and it required a lot of strength, ability, like agility and endurance. Charlemagne was also much more known for swimming and bathing. He really enjoyed the aquatic activities. Swimming was not only a leisure activity, but also a form of exercise that is beneficial for physical condition, and he would often invite other nobles to his swimming pool, basically, and have some friendly competition, and he was absolutely obliterating them. Now, you have to keep in mind that Charlemagne, at that time, was extremely tall. He was recorded to be 194 centimeters at the time, where when you're 170, 175, you're already quite tall. And he lived very, very long, as he died in his early 70s, at a time where when you're going on to your 50s, you're already quite old. Although Charlemagne and his era did not know modern bodybuilding, physical strength and martial skills were highly valued, and physical activities such as military training, hunting, and swimming played a very important role in the lives of the noble and contributed to their physical condition and combat readiness. We could also note that on the diet and hygiene aspect, it is likely that the noble like Charlemagne had a really high diet in meat and fish, so very rich in protein, and practiced some form of personal hygiene that was influenced by the remaining Roman tradition. However, that's not bodybuilding per se, and well, there is just one Charlemagne. We have to wait out a few centuries for a new breakthrough. As you know, health and fitness are closely related, so we have to do a little side quest and hop on the side to talk about something that is going to interest you a lot. Medicine in Middle Age. How did it go? And how was it created? We have something that is extremely interesting that is called the Canon of Medicine by Al-Qanun fi al-Tib, and is known in Occident as Avicenna. Avicenna wrote a humongous book, the Canon of Medicine, from Kitab al-Qanun fi al-Tib, which then became Canon, from Greek canon meaning the rule. It is one of the most famous works in the history of medicine. The book is a comprehensive medical encyclopedia that was used as a standard reference in both the Islamic world and Europe for several centuries. Avicenna included all the work from one of his predecessors named Masar Jawa of Mesopotamia, including his 30 full books of Syriac translated in Arab, while also incorporating many Greek and Latin figures' contribution, like Hippocrates, Galenos, or Dioscoride. 1 century later, it is an Italian writer, Gerardo da Cremona, who translated it in Latin, allowing the Occident to rediscover many lost Greek and Roman civilization treasure. He is one of the many Italian and Spanish men who devoted themselves their whole life to translate as much from Arabs to Latin as possible, that allowed to catalyze the Renaissance era in Europe. Pretty cool, eh? But for the following part, we are going to talk about something very French, and that is Jean Malenc, or Boucicaut. Boucicaut was a knight, and he was passionate about physical culture, and at the time you have to keep in mind that there was a saying, which is that the body is the reflection of the beauty of the soul. Basically, like Disney, the more handsome or gorgeous you are, the more good looking you are, the better your soul is technically. His interest in physical development led him to write and teach training methods that combine principles of strength and knighthood, as he was revered for his own proportionated and strong body. He wrote the Sport Treatise for Knights, which is his most notable work, where he developed a unique approach to bodybuilding and physical conditioning inspired by chivalric ideals. His philosophy was that the medieval knights were supposed to be strong, endurant, but also hold high moral value. His training methods were quite interesting, say proposed resistance training and bodybuilding exercise. Some of these exercises included the use of an armor as a load to carry during running, sprinting, climbing ladders, climbing horses, and also wielding and swinging heavy axes or mace against sturdy surfaces. And he also advocated push-ups and pull-ups wearing this same full armor to develop a body strength. To give you a rough idea, full set of medieval armor at the time was between 25 to 30 kilograms. He would do push-ups and pull-up and running and sprinting and climbing stuff with that. Although he is less known than other fitness figures, Jean Malingre left a lasting legacy through his writing, and his unique approach, which combined many things, but especially physical and moral culture, inspired a lot more of comprehensive view for bodybuilding later down the road. However, the main issue is that, well, knighthood is only the elite and noble of a population, so maybe 1% of all of them. Not only it is not for everyone to train, but you also have to own an armor, which is extremely expensive. You have to have horses, which is also very expensive, and you have to maintain them. You have to have a domain, and most importantly, you have to have the time to train. And furthermore, if you need to be able to read at the time, it's only when you're a highborn or a cleric that you're able to read, as everything is in what we call now ancient French or Latin. So yeah, not really accessible for everyone, but a breakthrough would happen at the end of the Renaissance era. Now I want to talk about the major figure of the creation of bodybuilding, and his name is Hippolyte Triat. Hippolyte Triat is the major figure in developing strength, health, and every single possible bodybuilding foundation, starting with gymnastics in France. He thought about methods of physical culture and muscle strengthening. Not only that, he is also the inventor of group classes workout as we know it. He developed pulley device with ropes. We can also note equipment that are akin to gym apparatus, so machine with chains that he built himself. And he was the inventor of both globe barbell and dumbbell. He himself possessed great strength, as he could lift 91 kilogram dumbbell overhead, clean and press a 100 kilo barbell overhead, and do a one-arm flag and jump on the back of a horse without helping himself with his hand. And all of that at 173 cm and 95 kg of body weight. Basically a John Grimek 1 century before John Grimek. He subsequently founded the first school of physical culture in Brussels before coming to Paris and founding his gymnasium on Avenue Montaigne. During the Paris Commune in 1871, Hippolyte Triat was appointed director of gymnastic exercise for the city of Paris and lent his gyms for meetings. For that, he was sentenced to prison when the Franco-Prussian War broke out, as the rightist thought a man who wanted equally physical education for men and women is an enemy of the state. And because of that, he lost everything and never recovered. Actually, it could be a pretty good subject for a video about the Bronze era of bodybuilding, so let me know if you want me to touch all about this fantastic man whole life. Now, as part of the specific work that he did for bodybuilding, we can note two books. First one that he did with Napoleon Daly is the Physical Regeneration of Man by Rational Gymnastic and Kinesiology of the Science of Movement. So basically, kinesiology is from a Greek word, which is kinesis, which means movement. And they wanted to express a new activity that is different from the asceticism and the Greek athletics. Technically speaking, it's exactly like physiotherapy or kinesiotherapy, which is to prehab or rehab, strengthen any kind of movement pattern in order to just be stronger and healthier, basically. That work is also, and above all, a very precise historical presentation from antiquity to the Middle Age of physical exercise and its relationship to health in different parts of the world. That's why I took so much time to explain to you all these little things that happened during the Dark Age and the High Middle Age. And Hippolyte Triat gymnastic has led to a true cult of the body, and of course bodybuilding, which will herald what would later become in the 80s the sport of bodybuilding, or what you envision in your head as you think about bodybuilding, basically in the USA. And moreover, Hippolyte Gymnasium announced many others in Paris with a gymnastic movement that then spread significantly throughout France at the end of the 19th century, which brings us to the Olympics. The restoration of the Olympic game as we know it is, without a doubt, the work of one Frenchman that is called Pierre de Coubertin. He first publicly presented this idea in 1892 during an international conference. His idea was that modern society was imbued with Hellenism, which is a fascination for ancient Greece. The restoration of the Olympic Games formed a perfect idea, both romantic and modern, and the Congress approved the restoration of the Olympic Games. It is the sole reason why it is held in different countries worldwide, while it is every 4 years, and why it is to this day still running. And finally, and with it, many strength sports, and one of them, which is weightlifting, allowed us to build and celebrate Nutritionist as champion, who, as they grew stronger and earned more title, also built method and a way to make it possible to always keep improving. And again, most were Frenches. The first one I want to touch about is Edmond de Bonnet. Possibly is the father of Greco-Roman wrestling, and also the first one to lay a foundation for a kind of mixture of combat sport and weightlifting, and also prehab and rehab for this same sport. He was basically a pioneer and opened several physical culture schools and published many books and magazines to promote exercise and bodybuilding, not only in France but also in the whole Europe. The second one is Charles Rigoulot, which is a legendary French athlete. He's world-renowned into weightlifting and bodybuilding circle both, as he won a gold medal into the Olympic Game of 1924 and set very high world record in weightlifting. And the third one I would talk about would be Maurice Tillet. He was a professional wrestler and bodybuilder, like most top peak elite athletes at the time, and he achieved great success as a wrestler in the USA. His contributions are numerous, but especially through his performance and impressive physique, he was basically a huge advocate for bodybuilding. We could also note about Jean Dame, Marcel Rouet, Robert Duranton, and Louis Apollo. Finally, all these good men were able to pave the way to something that then became much more specialized with the physical building, amongst with, of course, a few other men from the entire world, like Charles Schmidt or Alain Calvert, Louis Cyr, and more it developed itself into federation with the contest as we know it. And all of that is thanks French. After that, we can note a few other athletes that kept the flame of bodybuilding alive in France, even though the two World War and the 60s were not something that was really encouraging French to keep going into that direction. But we, of course, have the French athlete, which was Serge Nebret, which built a huge bodybuilding and filming career, who also created two federations, the NABA and the WABA, and also paved the way for many, as he had many gyms in both Paris and Saint-Denis. Nowadays, we have much less presence as French, both into bodybuilding, but also into, I'd say, the media and the content creation of bodybuilding. But we can still note many great men that are still there, like Morgan Ast or Théo Le Guerrier, which are high-level elite bodybuilders. Into the media, well, you have yours truly, Lateral Hypertrophy, who is French, but he's making video in English, just like me. And for some of you that will be interested to learn French, we have quite a few good specimens out there on YouTube, like my friend Lucas Gouif, but also a few others like Aaron Quest or Jean Lange. And of course, I have to take a little time to thank Frédéric Delavier and Michael Degundil, who basically, with their book, inspired and helped full generation, if not two, of French men to build their brain, build their knowledge on top of scientific evidence and about the empirism of many athletes. And thanks to that, and thanks to the translation of these books in more than 30 languages, the whole world is able to enjoy it as much as we did. I'm not going to speak about politics or whatever regarding France, but I'm not 100% French. Not all my grandparents and ancestors are from France. I'm more of a European guy than a French guy, but still I was born here. I have a little French in my blood. This country gave me everything, and it gave everything to many others. And the sport nowadays, bodybuilding and many others actually, as you have understood, would not be the same without French. So yeah, I'm kind of proud to be French. Thank you so much for watching, And as we say here, vive la France.